Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Awakening Happiness, our video podcast where we share our stories, discoveries, thoughts, and everything to do with awakening our happiness. Today, we are going to be talking about something quite different from what we've been talking before, but yet it's also quite the same. I'm going to be starting this with a story of how I came to find this organization. It's called Link4Growth. And so, how it all happened was before I quit my job, maybe a few years before that, I was starting to realize that my work was taking over my life. And I realized that I didn't have many friends locally where I live, and all my friends were actually my colleagues from the school where I used to work, and that was up in Luton. So one day I saw this ad on my Facebook feed about a walk in the park. Come and join us and let's walk and talk and just meet new friends. And I said, great, that's exactly what I need. The park, I've never been to this park like really properly. So I was curious to do that and then join with people who are like new people, meet new people, get a bit more interesting spare time. And I go and I joined this walk and it was quite interesting. Um, and it turned out it was not just a group of people gathering to go for walks, but there was quite a nice ethos about that and the kind of philosophy as well behind it. So Chris was kind of the main person to introduce me to it. And he's probably the best person to explain about the 7 principles as well. Well, this is the topic of our talk today. So the 7 principles of Link4Growth will be our topic today. But what is Link4Growth? Maybe we just start briefly with this, Chris. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, on the face of it, it sounds a bit like a cult going on here with, I joined this group and then we went to the park and there's a lot more to it and all that. Well, let me rest assured, it's not a cult because a cult normally has some kind of charismatic figure that's basically getting all your money off you. And basically has that premise behind it. Link4Growth is very different. In fact, we don't want your money. In fact, it doesn't want your money because I say we because it's been going along since 2011-12. So it's been in inception for a while, and it's gone through various metamorphoses really in that period because we've had lots of things happen, and and it morphed into some other things, and then we've had COVID, and it's kind of people can't meet each other, and it's just basically travelled along that journey, and it is what it is today, which is essentially it's an open platform for people to organise themselves in a local area to essentially have some kind of gatherings, be that a coffee or be it a business networking event, or be it a walk in the park, or be it a drinks evening, or whatever basically people want to organise. And I say that because there is a little bit of structure to it, just so that people who are meeting through that mechanism are using the right logos and basically doing things that are complementary, if you like, to what the organisation stands for. And what it stands for, quite frankly, is bringing local people together. It doesn't bring people together, enabling local people to very easily create a meeting so that other people can come along as well. And I say that in that way because we use things called Eventbrite and other tools, which some people don't even know about, but it simplifies the process of putting on a meeting. You don't have to kind of work it all out, work out what's good and what's not good, and what bits to use and what bits not to use. that kind of has been done. And if you look at an example, then you can quite quickly have your own one up and going. Do you know what I mean? It's just basically takes the trial and error out of it. So, but so the organisation doesn't force you really to do anything. If you wanted to run a meeting, just ask you to join the organisation. And you might go, oh, here we go. I knew it was coming to something, money, but it's like £3 a month. It's like not a lot of money. It's a cup of coffee, basically. So it really isn't about getting people's money. It's really more about just providing sufficient finance so the organisation can exist. And what is the organisation? Well, it has no office. It has no buildings. It doesn't have that. And the whole organisation is owned by the people in it. So if you're a subscriber for £3, or you're a subscriber for £12, which is the business component, if you like, um, then you're an owner. You're a part owner of the organisation. There is no leader or anybody that's sitting there calling the shots or deciding what things should and shouldn't be. It's a very, very simple association, not even a limited company, an association that exists purely to ensure it can carry on existing. And the people who are in it are owners. Having said that, if that wasn't something that like was appealed to you, the coffees and the drinks and all these events, anyone can go. You don't have to be a member or a subscriber or anything in order to be able to go along and meet other people. The events are organised. We're not putting a fence up around them to stop other people masquerading into the area or anything. It's just a
Yeah.
pub and people just turn up, and if they've heard about it, they want to come along and have a chat with people, then great, so
Yeah,
that's
so that's
really.
that's how I came to the walk in the park, because it was open for everyone and it was advertised on Facebook, and I saw it and I said, okay, that sounds like an interesting event on a weekend. Let me join in. And the weather was good as well, which was a bonus.
I mean, you mentioned earlier it's based on some kind of ethos, as it were. Well, people, when considering something such as this, on the face of it, it's like, well, okay, what do I have to do to comply or to kind of get in the inside of this? And you might think, well, I can go to a church and I can go any time, but it wouldn't be very long, to be honest, before you were approached with the intention of making a donation or maybe doing something in the church to kind of lock that relationship together. It wouldn't be very long, and the world is full of organisations that, on the face of it, are doing one thing, but when you get to know, they're doing something else, and you could levy the same accusation of what Link4Growth is about because it looks pretty similar, right? However, there isn't any of that. There really isn't any of that. The organisation, well, the idea behind there's three basic elements of Link4Growth. The first one is the principles. They're the things that the organisation holds in high esteem and is there for the people in the organisation to make what they want of, because it's very hard to maintain those principles, right? If you'll be hard pushed to keep them upheld. I'm telling you now. But they are something to aspire to. Then, then you've got behavioural guidelines or community guidelines, which are essentially basically saying how you should perhaps interact with the other people there. Like in terms of don't force people to do something they don't want to do. Um, and just basically be kind to other people, but there's a few of them. I'm accepting, for example, that the only right is there is no right. Well, that's something that's part of Link4Growth, and it's a very difficult thing to understand, because what you're saying here is that I'm not right and nobody else is right. We aren't owners of the right. There is lots of different ways to look at something and perspectives based on your history, your background, and your experiences. I mean, and it's very difficult to put them to one side and say, well, this is how I think, and I can see what you're saying, but you're wrong. Like,
Yeah, we
it's
did a whole video on this topic as well.
so
I'll
easy
put
to
the
say
link
that.
there.
Yeah. It's so easy to say that because you just don't get how someone else can think like this. You just don't get it. It doesn't mean anything. It's difficult, and I'm saying it's difficult because it is difficult. It's very difficult because you're doing battle with your ego here, and your ego doesn't get being wrong, doesn't like it. And then values, values that we hold to be true, which are things that, we've got the important things, and now we've got the things that we hold to be true, and they could be things like living in harmony with everyone around you. Like, don't go around being an idiot and causing problems for people, because that what good's that all about? You know what I mean? So there are these things, right? You can go on the uk.link4growth.org website and see them there. They're all listed there. But it's not doctrine. It's just a way of being. And I think, in that sense, you could say it's similar to the ideals being put out there by things like Zen Buddhism, where you essentially are kind, generous, living in harmony with everyone and amongst people, assisting those people in moving forward in their journey, whatever that journey is. And it's kind of that. And some people will probably say, it sounds a bit wishy-washy. And it all comes down at the end to one thing: you taking responsibility for your life, however that manifests itself. And it could be you think this is not for you, not this thinking is not for you, not the organization, the thinking isn't for you. You prefer to go out and, pioneer and make a name for yourself and amass a bunch of cars or whatever. And for you right now, that's what you want to do. And, everyone makes their own choices. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not down to me to say anything. I'm just one guy.
And today, when we start talking about the principles in more detail, you will see how this is quite similar to the Zen Buddhism principles. And we have another video on this topic as well, which I'm going to put up here as well, for you to check out, maybe if you're interested in that. So these principles, 7 in total, we're going to go through them with a little comment as we go along. So the first one: everyone is important.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get a theme of this. Everyone. There's a lot of everyone's
So
and should
everyone.
be and should be's and stuff, because it's basically just open for you to contemplate. And everyone is important is the first one. It's like, when I explain this, I like to explain the other side of it. Okay, other people are more important than others. How how is that evaluated? If if people are more important than others, under what basis are you leveraging that accusation? Because every single thing on this universe and in the universe is equal. It all has a start, a beginning, and an end, and they all have an end, and they all have a beginning. Whether we can take that on board or not, even a mountain has a start and an end. It might coincide with the formation of the planet, but at some point when that planet passes, that mountain passes too. So it's like nothing's permanent, nothing whatsoever, and everything is. Some things are literally such a small segment of second in existence, and yet they did have a start, a beginning, and an end. And then we have our lives, which we kind of judge things by. Let's say we live to 70, we have a beginning, and then we have our adulthood, and then we have our passing. And, those three things happen to us all. There's nothing different or special about any human being. We are all human beings, and every living creature is a spirit in a living embodiment. And nothing is more important. If you consider whether somebody's important or not, go to their funeral and see. Go to their funeral and see what happens. People are crying. People can't believe it, right? And these people might have thought, "Oh, I'm no one." And they aren't. They aren't anyone in the scheme of the human race. Hitler's even been forgotten to a certain extent now. His level of impact on the world as it's going on today is completely different to the one when he was around. So we come and we go and we leave a thing, and that thing gradually disappears at some point. Like how many people do you think will remember you when we're 500 years from now? That means you remember someone who was around in 1066, or it's just not going to happen. Yeah, no,
It's not possible.
1566. Yeah, when the printing press was invented. It's just like we don't know any of them except they're written down in a book somewhere, and that book becomes on the reading list or becomes something of importance. But at the end of the day, in 10,000 years, none of that will be remembered either. so, but at the same time, this is the paradox of life. We are simultaneously irrelevant and yet very important.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that. It's the paradox of life. We are irrelevant yet very important, like anything else as well.
yeah, exactly. So
And it's the perception that we put on things that makes things either very special for us or
the
important, or
attention
we
we
just
attention we
put,
devote to it. Yeah.
yeah, we put the meaning to them, to these
Mm.
things. Well, in this case, we're talking about relationships with other people, so everyone is important in this respect. And then we have the next one. Everyone should be respected. And
Yeah,
we're using here the word should, not because we are telling you to do what you must do, because we are controlling you. It's more of an aspirational one.
mm. And I mean, turn it into the negative again. Only some people should be respected. Right? Who's making that judgment? Do you know what I mean? Like, who are we to be so arrogant in our puny human form, which is here for a tiny amount of time in the big scheme of things, allowed to go around making decisions about who should be respected or not? It's like when you look at it, it's laughable. It really is laughable, and yet we do it all. I know I do it. We all do it. We see someone begging for food on the high street, a homeless person. We walk past, hoping he won't notice us or catch our eye glaze, and we sort of turn away. We do it. We all do it. Don't tell me you don't do it. We all do it, and that's disrespectful, isn't it? I've done on occasions. I don't do this all the time, by the way, but on occasions I've sat down next to the person and said, how did you get here? What was the pathway to being here right this moment? And even if you just smile at someone in terrible straits like that, they will often, that'll be the highlight of their day, because most people just ignore they're there, hope they go away. And that's just one person, that's just one type of individual. And there'll be others who say something that's contrary to what your belief is, and you tell them they're an idiot and go and get a life and go and do something. Just tell them to. This is disrespectful. And how do we like to be disrespected when someone just ignores us or tells us we're a chump, like an idiot, when that's not our view of ourselves? So it's a big one. It is a big one, and it does call on us to have a lot of tolerance and a lot, well, not tolerance because that means someone's done something bad, but like a lot of compassion.
Compassion, yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
And that links nicely to the next one where everybody should be heard. It's not just about respecting, but also listening and taking somebody else's viewpoint and reflecting on it and considering the reason they're saying what they're saying. There always a reason why people say what they say. It's
Yeah,
their life
a
story.
there's a saying that people who know don't say, and those that say don't know. Right, so the ones that are talking don't know very much, and the ones that are quiet know an awful lot. And like, if you take that into this sentence here, everyone should be heard. It's essentially the quiet ones who are spending time thinking and pondering and evaluating things so they can kind of understand and make sense of them are the people that have got probably the most good stuff to say, but are very rarely the people doing the saying. The ones who are doing the saying are the brash ones who are out there and they're just like saying it. And consequently, we should be giving space to everyone really that's out there who's, often I'm in a group and there might be a few people talking, and then there's one person who's not really saying very much, very quiet, sitting there. And it's worthwhile just tapping into that person and saying, John, or what, he's, what do you think about this? Like, what's your take on it? And just give that person a chance to be heard, because the norm, we all know, like, if you get a forum, if you get a meeting, 20% of the people are doing this, 80% of the speaking in whatever capacity it is. It's just the way it is. But the 80% that is the majority sitting there not speaking or whatever, well, there's a huge amount of value there. And it's never being accessed, or very rarely.
And that
So,
takes us to the next one. Everyone should be able to contribute.
yeah, and I mean, this could be in any sense of contribution. It could be, producing vegetables. It could be fixing stuff. It could be during a conversation, as I was just talking about. Ultimately, we all have a potential. We all and a lot of people's responsibility, and this does come down to the individual, is to find out what it is that they really enjoy doing, and and is of value. It can help in society, and this is our responsibility. We could say, "Oh no, I'm only ever going to do something if I get paid for it." Well, that's one way of looking at the world. Another one is, well, I'm going to do things for people and show that I care and I have concern and stuff. And it's got to be something I like doing. Like, I'm not going to spend all my time doing something that makes me miserable just for other people. I've got to be doing something that I like doing. And then from that will be people seeing expertise or seeing things that that person has knowledge about and will engage, and that will contribute to their knowledge and their ability to move forward in whatever capacity they want. So being able to contribute covers a huge wealth of things. But like, I saw my mum was telling me that she saw at a Seventh Day Adventist meeting. It was a coffee meeting, and there was a guy wandering around with a satchel full of leaflets. And there was two ladies speaking. One was like in her 70s, and there was another one in her 90s, right? And both of them still able-bodied, right? And the one in the 70s has got a pile of these leaflets under her arm, and the older lady said, "What's going on with those leaflets then?" And she said, "Oh, I'm helping that guy with the satchel there who's got all the leaflets. I'm helping him drop them into my letterboxes around my street. I'm just going to do the two streets close to me, because they need to be dropped." And the lady said, "Oh, do you think he would let me drop some of those leaflets off? Would that mean I would be useful?" Now, it's like, we all have a need to contribute. If we stop contributing, then very often we lose the will to live if we don't think we have anything left to give. What's the point of being here? What
Amazing.
and this
Amazing. Yeah.
lady, 90, she just wanted to be useful.
Very good. So, guys, are you liking what you're hearing up to now? If this is being useful to you, please take a minute, subscribe to the channel, like it, share it with your friends. We really appreciate any of those actions that you do. So, we're carrying on with the next principle here, and this one usually causes a bit of a disturbance, so be prepared. This one is number 5. Everyone is equal. Woo-hoo!
The absence of the word should here, not only because it wouldn't make sense, everyone should is equal, but but it's like everyone is equal. Normally, when I say this, people say, "No, no, 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 that's complete nonsense." I'm this, and the other person's not capable of doing this, therefore we're not equal. Well, look, ultimately, we've all got skills and we all have capabilities to create and do all sorts of things, which we're basically blessed with, and we spend our lives honing and developing and growing those things. But we're all equal as we are all human beings. And you might say, oh, yeah, but there's a blind guy over there. He's not equal because he can't see. No, but he's perfect as a blind person, isn't he? He's absolutely perfect. If you gave him his eyesight back, he would no longer be a blind person. So he would not be a perfect blind person. Ultimately, no one's perfect. We all have attributes, but essentially, we're all different, but we are all whole and complete as we are. We are all equal. And yes, somebody may have different skills, but there's a saying, isn't there? Wouldn't the world be a boring world if we were all the same? We're not all the same because that's what's needed in this world. There's, like we talk about this, don't we, on the allotment? If you dig a hole, the nature fills it up. They might not
Yeah,
fill it up
yeah.
with something that you want filled up, but it will put something will grow there. Nothing is ever empty, right? And it's the same with the human beings and the relationships. If there is a void, something will end up filling the void, whatever it is. And it could be perceived as good or perceived as not good, but something will turn up. And in that respect, the whole world is there, and we're all part of it, and we are all it actually, and and we're all a very different coloured bit of glass in that rich mosaic. That's really what I'm saying.
So, everyone is equal, and everyone has value. And this is kind of summing it up in a way, the with all the other ones that we talked about. Like, everybody should be heard, everybody should be respected, everybody should be able to contribute. Everyone has value.
Yeah, I mean, like I've seen this at networking events where people rock up and they go around speaking to other people and they say, yeah, yeah, here's my business card. I'm John. I'm a web designer, right? And what do you do? To the person says, oh, I'm an accountant. Oh, okay, I don't really need an accountant at the moment, right? I go on to the next one. Go on, right. Well, hang on a minute. This guy may be a part-time manager of a local kids football team, and your kid wants to play football. Right, and this person would have been a perfect introduction for your child to play. Right, you never knew, or you might say, like just as an example, I've heard this. It's like the web designer says, "Oh, do you live local? Yeah, I do. Yeah, you don't know anybody that's trying to get rid of a bike, do you? A push bike? Yeah. Well, actually, I've got 2 bikes I don't need, and I'm trying to get rid of them. So you're quite welcome to have those." And suddenly, right, it's like you just don't know. You don't know. Your job when you meet new people is to switch on the curiosity flag and to try and dig into that person as in a friendly, conversational, interested way, and share that information about yourself too, about how and what the pair of you, where the touch points are, and you can enjoy a conversation about something. If you don't do that, it's like it's a complete waste, because here you are with a perfect. You might never meet the person again. This might be the one and only chance, and you've squandered it, or you haven't. Which way is it going to be?
So I like this human connection.
Mm,
It's not about networking as a business person trying to find a benefit for your business, and if you don't see any benefit, you just go away. As you said, you gave that example, but finding the common ground as humans.
mm.
That's great. And then we go to the last one. I keep muting my microphone, by the way, because my computer's fan kicks in. I've got like thousands of tabs open here on my Chrome. So the computer's very noisy. So I keep muting, and you can see me smiling, but you can't hear me. So that's the reason. Right. So the last principle, everyone is on their own journey.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a very judgmental world, which presumes we know better or more than others on many occasions. And there's so many different ways to see, to perspectives on different things. And it's very easy sometimes to just gloss over that everyone is basically traveling their own path. And our role, really, if you want to put into perspective, is to walk each other home. Wherever we're heading, we're basically walking each other home, because what on the occasions that, and I can look back on my life and the people that come in and gone out of my life, so they're in my life for a while and they spend a lot of time discussing things with me, or we had a few laughs and a few nights out or whatever, and then you move away, and then those touch points become further and become farther away, but you still keep in touch. Like it's not wrong to do that. But everybody is on their own journey. And when you look back at your life and all the people that are in it, no one knew where the hell they were going. No one knew what they were doing. But they are all traveling on a journey, because there's not really any alternative, is there, to travel on your own journey? Where are you going? Well, you can only go where you go. You can't go and piggyback on top of somebody else. Or, your journey is your journey. And the same is true of every single person. If I look back on my life and what I originally mapped out when I was in my teens and thought, okay, this is kind of what I'm going to do. It worked ish until about 30, and then it didn't, and then it went all different, and then I had to keep revising things, because depending on what you pick up, it's like a game, isn't it? One of these computer games. You go along and you pick up bits that help you on playing your game. You pick up bits, you win them, or you find them, or whatever, and that helps you on your journey in the game. Well, this is a game. This life we're living is a game, and we're picking up bits and pieces as we go along. But no one else is travelling our path. They might be along with us for some time, so that when we're traveling together, but don't be under any illusion we're all on our own paths with things that we want to do, what floats our boats and stuff like that. But you have to be respectful of that. There's no point telling people they've got to come and do your thing. You got to come and do what I want you to do, because that's control. There's a whole raft of control, but people, you've got to respect that people are on their own journey, and help and support them if you can. But our job is not to tell other people what to do. We have a hard time working our own problems out, let alone thinking we're gifted enough to take on another brain at the same time. We just can't do it. So best off leave other people to sort of pilot their own journey, and we just assist and support them as and when we're able and permitted to do so, and be glad we have the opportunity to do that, because, to be honest, there's nothing better than seeing someone flourish as a direct consequence of some of the things you've provided for them, that they're now using. That's just such an amazing feeling, like I recommend it. Go give it a try.
I think out of all of these 7 principles, this one, number 7, is, for me, is probably the hardest to get to grips to. And I'm still working on it. Maybe because I've lived so many years in my job as a teacher, telling children what to do and what not to do,
Mm.
that I'm struggling to stay out and be respectable of other people's choices and other adults, because okay, these are children, they were supposed to be doing things and learn, and that's why they're at school, supposedly. But to get out of this default mode of telling somebody what to do because I know best, this has been the hardest job for me in the last 2 or 3 years. So I'm still working on it, but I think I'm getting better at it. This
It's
is just my honest, vulnerable moment, because
well,
I don't know, and how I came to understand that this is what I this is really not good, is because when somebody else starts telling me what I want to be doing now, I am completely getting into
triggered,
a
triggered.
rash. Like I'm getting to this, like, don't tell me what to do. I know best what to do. I'm choosing what I want to do. So don't tell me what you want me to do, because I'm not telling you what to do. That means you stay out of my path and my journey as well.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, people. One of the difficult things is to take on board what people say without being triggered by it, because they don't know what they're doing really. Like most people don't really know what they're doing when they do this. They think they're being kind,
yeah, they
coming
think
up
they're
coming up
helping
with,
you. They're
yeah, with
Yeah.
answers and suggestions to make your life better, but they don't have all the back catalogue story going on, and consequently, it just comes over as I know better than you, and of course, you have to be compassionate to them too, because they don't know what they're doing. It's like
And
it's just
because everyone has value, right?
and like it's very easy to get upset with these people, and then to start breaking some of the other parameters that we've got here, respect and all this kind of stuff.
Mm.
But like I'm sure you would agree, these 7, they sound so simple, and yet to be able to deploy them and uphold them very, very well requires almost like saint-like qualities. It's like it can probably only ever be a pursuit, a striving. I don't think many, if any, will get there. And I'm not. I'm including myself in this, by the way. But at least I am doing my best to uphold them, and you know. So that's what sits behind Link for Growth, is the desire to become that person who can uphold those principles, at least to the best of your ability. No one can ask any more than that, and no one's asking. In fact, the only person asking you to do it is you. They're just there. Those 7 are just there for you to ponder and to pursue. Muted.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Chris. That was a very good conclusion of our chat today. I've got here, subscribe and share. We would
Ooh.
really appreciate that. If you find value in what we're discussing here, please share, subscribe, like it, mention it to your friends. Let's make it more of a community of people who are trying to live our life according to these 7 principles. Um, because we're going to be amazing humans if we started to aspire to be like those 7 principles, living by them. Right. Thank you, Chris. And
Okay.
see you on another episode where we continue our discussions into awakening our happiness. Bye.
Okay. Bye now. Bye.